All right, friends, it looks like we are just about 4 minutes after 6, so let's go ahead and get started. I know there are going to be a few more people joining us, but I know our room is filling up, and I know you have so many questions. So let's begin with tonight's special first day virtual family engagement session. Welcome to the 2020-2021 school year. My name is Scott Varner. I'm an executive director in our Department of Engagement, and I just want to thank you for being here tonight and welcome you to the new school year. This was an historic day as our district not only celebrated 175 years, but we also celebrated having our first all virtual back to school day. Now, of course, with that came some anxiety, came maybe with a lot of questions today, maybe questions that you didn't get a chance to think about until you went to sign on today. Well, we're here to help. We are here to make sure that we try to answer as many questions as possible. So throughout tonight's session, I'm just going to ask you if you have questions, comments, concerns, put them in the chat because we have experts from across the district who are with us tonight who will try to answer your questions both in the chat and as part of their presentation. We're so excited that you are here for this virtual family engagement hour. We started these several weeks ago to do just this, to open the conversation, to make sure that all of our families had access to the information they needed. Because if we want our students to be successful, we know that our families need to be supported, engaged, and successful as well. I'm going to ask for your help tonight. As we rise up and welcome our students to this new year, I'm just going to ask for you to help us exercise a little bit of grace. We're going to give everyone the opportunity to voice their concerns. That's why that chat is so important. Throughout the time, I'm going to ask, please help us to remain positive, always being considerate of others' feelings, because we're going to continually monitor our tune. Because friends, as it says right there, we are all in this together, every one of us. And so we thank you for being here. Here's our plan tonight. We know you have a lot of questions that came up as part of our first day. So tonight we're going to first begin with a message for our parents. We're going to talk about Chromebooks and hotspots, getting that login for your student, how to access the parent portal, especially that attendance feature that we need your help on. We'll talk about Clever and Google Classrooms. We're going to talk about the Digital Academy. If you were one of the 5,000 students, families that signed up for that. We're also going to talk about connecting with your principal, our reminder about our Fuel Up food sites, and then we'll close with information about our Learning Extension Centers. If you miss anything, if you know other family members, other families that you know that missed tonight, we have recordings of all of our virtual family engagement sessions online on our website. And this website is so important. I hope you can see a version of the website on your screen right now. There is so much good information that we've put on the website, especially under the Reopening Rise Up CCS tab. I've circled that in yellow. Make sure you go and check on there because we put a lot of answers, a lot of great information on that section. Let's get started because there's so much to share with you tonight, but I want to begin with a special message to all of our families, our parents out there tonight from our Chief Engagement Officer, Alicia Gillison. Alicia?
Here we go. Yes, thank you, Scott. And parents, I want to thank each and every one of you. As Scott mentioned, this is going to take grace, and it's going to take us working together. Today is historical. This is the first time we have went 50,000 students and parents virtual. If you think about a regular school year, you know, we get calls about transportation, but overall today was a good day. And as a matter of fact, I want you to know that there are glitches, but we're going to get through those glitches together. Your emails, your phone calls, we gathered those today. As a matter of fact, we've been gathering them since this weekend. You had teams working 24/7 in order for this day to be a good day. We're going to need grace, but we're going to get through this together. And I want to thank all of you for signing in tonight to get your questions answered, because we have assembled a dream team to help answer all of your questions tonight. Parents, we're not perfect right now, but we are moving in that direction, and we're going to move together. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gillison, for sharing that important message, because we want to make sure our families know that they are supported, that we've got folks that are here tonight to help answer their questions. But that's not just tonight. All the time, folks in our district are here to answer your questions to make sure you're supported. So I know there were a lot of questions about those Chromebooks and the hotspots and how to log into your students' information. So let's turn to our technology team and our chief, Wanda Navirny, who's here tonight, as well as Chris Campbell. I'll ask the two of you to kind of share what the questions were today and some of the answers that you've really been giving out to families.
Absolutely, Scott. Thank you. Hello, CCS family. This is Wanda Navirny. I'm the CIO for Columbus City Schools, and I'm joined by Chris Campbell. Chris is our leader in the infrastructure and operations space. And, between us, we hope we can give a lot of answers to the questions I see popping up in the chat. A lot of great questions. I understand that, there is you are concerned and there is some level of frustration as well. So, thank you, Scott and Alicia, for this great idea to have this virtual engagement session so we can, help them overcome some of these initial glitches. Like Alicia said, please give us grace. We will get there. We are trying very hard and we are in this for you. So let's rise up together. First of all, Chromebooks, right? If you've already not gone to your primary school of enrollment, if you're digital academy, right? That's why I call out this specifically. Please go to your primary school of enrollment to get a Chromebook loaned to your student if you already don't have a Chromebook. You can do this by contacting the principal of that school of primary enrollment. And if you have questions on what your school of primary enrollment is, please feel free to reach out to our central enrollment team. And if your Chromebook is broke or damaged, you have a damaged screen. I saw some questions on, damaged chargers. Please go again, contact the principal of your school of primary enrollment, and they will be able to replace it for you. If you're struggling to understand how to log in, I saw a few questions on that as well in the chat. The login is your student's student ID, and the password is their date of birth, DD, YYYY, separated by dashes. So it's the month, 2-digit month, separated by, add a dash to it, and the 2-digit day, add a dash to it, and the 4-digit year. That is the password. And if you don't know your student's ID, you can contact our central enrollment team, IC team, support team, and they'll give you the student ID as well. They'll be able to share that information as well. About hotspots, right? Now you've got the Chromebooks. How are you going to get to the internet to get to the all the great software we have available there, and our great teachers that are teaching you virtually like they would teach you in person in the classroom. So you need internet access. If you're a family that is needing internet access, that is in need of internet access, please again contact your principal. We have been able to meet all the requests we had through Friday, and we are ordering more. There's going to be a week's delay in getting it to you, but please contact your principal. They'll log your request, they'll transfer it to IT, we will fulfill it, and they'll let you know when you can come and pick up these internet access points. And if you have login questions, more login questions, right? How do I get to the Clever portal? How do I get to each of these platforms? I will ask Chris to take those questions. He's been fielding a lot of questions from our parents as well today, but a majority of our questions were on Chromebook repairs, Chromebook allotments, and hotspot allotments. And Chris, please take over and explain some of the login issues we encountered today and how we can help our parents.
Can I hold on just 1 second, Wandana and Chris? Can someone put an example of the sign-in, the login format, an example of the format in the chat so that all parents can see that?
I can do that, Alicia, while Chris answers some of the questions.
Thank you.
Sure. So so a lot of the questions that we received today were really general questions about how do I turn the Chromebook on? How do I get connected to the Wi-Fi? Why does the Wi-Fi disconnect? So one of the things you want to make sure you do is make sure you connect the Chromebook to the Wi-Fi first before your student tries to log in, or they'll have issues with it connecting. Once they are connected to your Wi-Fi, then they would enter their student ID. The rest of their email address is already filled in for them, so they'll just enter their student ID number, and then the @columbus.k12.oh.us will automatically be filled in. And then from there, it should take them into the Chromebook. Now, it will take I would tell your students to make sure they do this. Don't wait until class time to do this. They should log in maybe 15 minutes ahead of time before the day starts, just so they can have time for the Chromebook to get all of its the applications downloaded, because the way the Chromebooks are set up, it erases the data off of it every night, so that the Chromebook doesn't get viruses, or doesn't have any issues with bogging down for them. So, and it's really good practice for them to reboot it every night, just to clear that stuff out, so that they have a good experience every morning. I do realize that makes things a little inconvenient due to the Wi-Fi having to be reconnected, but I trust me that is a much simpler way to have a better experience, even if it does add a little time in the beginning. So other than those issues, we've had issues with parents coming in with broken screens. So remember that these screens are very delicate. So having the Chromebooks not sitting on a book or some other location, having it on a nice solid desk or table is good for them to do. If it drops on a corner, it's probably going to break that screen. So just making sure that your students are aware of the location of the Chromebook, and when they're carrying it, they should have it in some sort of bag or other secure carrying device, rather than just having it on top of a book or moving from room to room with it on anything else. So other than those issues, as far as connections today, those have been the biggest issues we've had strictly with connections. Wandana. You're muted.
Sorry, I was talking. Yes, thank you, Chris. And I wanted to tell our parents, if you're encountering technical issues, please contact our IT help desk. The number is 614-365-8425. I repeat, if you're having technical issues, how to get into the Chromebook, or how do I connect a hotspot or Wi-Fi to a Chromebook, please contact our IT help desk at 614-365-8425, and they will be able to help you. And we are also able to offer, through our partnership with the Columbus Metropolitan Library, some additional evening and weekend hours. So if you call the help desk number I just gave you, again, 614-365-8425, and you press the option for Chromebook help and hotspot help, you would be connected to some of our partners that do offer evening hours and weekend hours, so that if you're unable to get to us in the 8 to 5 time and you still need help, they're available to help you. And Chris, there are some questions around, the Chromebooks not keeping the Wi-Fi password, because when they reboot it, we added it for security, right? That it doesn't keep it and they have to reconnect to the Wi-Fi. I know we were, I wanted you to talk to our parents about it. Are we exploring other options to see if we can get it to remember it? Or I know that it is for security, it is for our students' safety and security being online, but I just wanted to see if you wanted to talk some about that.
So yeah, just to reiterate on that topic, in order to clear out all that data that a student would be using, whether they were searching the internet or if they were working intensely on testing or other pieces, for us to erase the local data on the device every night as it reboots the unfortunate side effect of that is that it also would drop its Wi-Fi, the memory of what it was connected to in Wi-Fi. So when a student is in school, we have the ability to set that to the Wi-Fi for the district, but knowing that we have 50,000 students and everyone has their own unique Wi-Fi, at home, we were unable to set those. So this is like I said, is an unfortunate side effect of that, but it is definitely something that is necessary for their experience for the rest of their day during using the Chromebook. A 5-minute or inconvenience in the beginning of the day is something that is necessary in order to allow them to have a much better experience throughout the day on the Chromebook. But it should stay connected through the day. It's just once they reboot that it would drop that Wi-Fi.
Thank you, Chris, for clarifying that. I also wanted to assure the parents we are coming up with multiple safety and security features for your children to have a very safe and secure online learning experience. I know there is concern out there in the community about, if my kids are going to be online all the time, my student is going to be online, how are you protecting them? We are coming up with multiple options to do that. One of them being that it is a slight inconvenience to the parents and the student, but it goes a long way in helping them be safe and secure on an online experience. We have multiple layers of security. I don't want to go in detail through that for obvious reasons, but if a parent wants to know more about it, they're free to call our help desk. And I am looking at the chat, I'm seeing some IC questions. Even for IC help, you'll first call the IT help desk, 614-365-8425. If a parent just joined us, I just want to make sure I'm telling the number as many times as I can get so that you're aware. I saw some questions on Edgenuity and Apex. We have our CCS Digital Academy folks waiting to answer those questions. So hang in there. Thank you for joining us. And Scott, I'll turn it over to you. And let me know if there's more questions you want me to answer.
I'm sure that we're going to have more questions as this night goes on. So I know you and Chris will be kind of monitoring the chat and helping answer those questions. And again, for everyone that's here tonight, put your questions in the chat. We're trying to get to them, but please know we will also capture the chat and then try to use that as sharing that with our communications team to let them know these are the questions that many of our parents still have. So we're going to use those questions. I know I've seen a lot of questions in there about the parent portal and especially the need to do attendance. So we have brought in our team from accountability. Dr. Michelle Klein is here. Jason Vance is also here. And so Jason, you have done a great job throughout a lot of these sessions in sharing information. So I'll look to you and Dr. Klein to help answer some of those questions that we're seeing about Parent Portal and the login there, especially about attendance. So Dr. Klein.
Thank you so much, Scott. So welcome to Rise Up for our CCS students. It was a great first day. I want to share with you two things. So if you are currently have a student in the CCS Digital Academy and you wish not to be in the CCS Digital Academy, please email or see the chat and email central enrollment at columbus.k12.oh.us. If you email us and include your student's name and their date of birth, we will take care of unenrolling you from the CCS Digital Academy. Now, Pegeen Clary is with us and she'll talk about some of the benefits of the CCS Digital Academy in just a few moments, but that was a question that's already been asked 5 times, so I wanted to get it off of our menu. Also, if for some reason you don't have your Parent Portal access, please make sure you email parentportalaccess@columbus.k12.oh.us. And if you look back in the chat, I've put both of those in there. That will allow you to either get your password reset or allow you to get your Parent Portal access for the first time. Keep in mind that you'll have to send them a photo ID and your child's name and date of birth so that we can verify you are the guardian, because we want to make sure that we have the best security possible for your children. So thank you so much. And I'm going to turn the floor over to Jason Vance, our supervisor of Infinite Campus. Jason?
Thank you, Michelle. And as Michelle said, a lot of the questions we get for families very new to the portal are how to get there. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Scott, can we open that up for me? Or he's working on that. So I can show you a couple things. One, not only how to get to the portal, but also how to take attendance for your students. That is one big question we had today that is brand new for this school year.
Okay, Jason, you should be able to share your screen now.
All right, perfect. All right. So as Michelle just stated a few moments ago, I'll make this really big so you can see it. If you have not yet created your portal account or forgot your password, here's the email address, parentportalaccess@columbus.k12.oh.us. Please make sure to send us a picture ID along with their name and date of birth so we can get you hooked up with that. Once you have created your Infinite Campus portal account, you can then go out to our main district website, which I've got up here. Make that a little bit bigger. You click on Families, and then off here to the left, the Parent Portal. And from this screen, you will click on the existing user login. I already have a sample parent logged in for us, so we can see what that screen looks like. So when you get here, depending on the type of device that you are currently using, you may have a smaller screen if you're on a phone or a tablet type device. So it could look like this. To expand the screen, you just need to click on the little hamburger icon. It's in the upper left corner. That will give you the navigation menu here. And where you need to go is the Today screen. This lets you know what's happening today with your students. So I've got a sample student here, and right underneath your student's picture, you will see a box that says check-ins. This is where you take attendance for your student. I'll make this a little bit bigger. And what you will see for a high school or middle school student is every class that they have on their schedule. And these need to be checked in one at a time. Now they can be done all at once. You don't have to wait till the class period begins. You can click on these and work on them all at the same time. So I clicked on physics. I click the box that says, yes, I'm here. And that one is done, and you get a confirmation message that it is saved. You don't have to go back to the main screen. You can stay right here on the screen and can continue clicking that your child is here in each one of their classes. The only difference with this for an elementary student is that you just have one class, your attendance class. So you take attendance once there and you're done. Now, one of the questions came up in the chat a few minutes ago is that how do I tell if attendance has been taken for my student? And the best way to tell that is on this same screen, you will notice that the check-ins box is no longer present. That means attendance has been taken for your student, whether you did it or whether your student did it themselves. Someone has taken attendance for your student. So in the portal, whether your student logs in or whether you log in, you both have the ability to take attendance for your child, but it can only be done once. And once again, I wanted to bring this other screen up here that was talked about a few minutes ago. For your students that are unsure how to log in, your student ID number is your username, and your password is your date of birth. That works for the campus portal for students as well as logging onto the Chromebook and so forth. So student ID number and birth date in this format, month, day, and year, just like you see on the screen. Okay, Scott?
A lot of great information, and I know a lot of our families really had a lot of questions about the parent portal today. So thank you, and we'll probably, again, as I see more questions coming in, we'll probably refer people back, because I also know that online we've posted a lot of information about the parent portal, how to log in, how to ask questions if you can't log in. So we really appreciate that. I want to take a moment now. So the next kind of login piece that a lot of our families had questions about today was logging into Clever, or how do I find my teacher's Google Classroom or their Zoom link? let's turn to our academic team. We've got a host of folks here from our academic team. Leslie Kelly, Tim Wangler, and then Elise Clark is here. I think we have a number of folks here. Dr. Baker, Tara Baker is here as well. Leslie, I'm going to begin with you. If you will just kind of share with everybody again a reminder about what Clever is, how it works, and how that login feature works, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Absolutely. I'm actually going to have Tim Wangler start. He's going to kind of give an overview of Clever and how you log in, and then I'm going to actually walk our families through a sample of a student's Clever account so they can actually see where they would find different pieces. Tim, take it away.
Hi, my name is Tim Wangler. I'm a digital platforms coordinator with Columbus City Schools. I help make sure that students and teachers get access to the software they need that's been purchased out of the academic services team. Your students will log into many of their platforms through software called Clever. Clever was acquired by the district a few years ago, and it helps anonymize student data and keep it safe, as well as manage all those student logins for the various platforms they need to access. It keeps all of their logins safe and secure, and teachers don't have to add and drop students to their classes or reset passwords for students. And so it saves time day in and day out by helping teachers and students access the software they need. This sheet that should be on your screen now, signing into CCS learning applications with Clever, explains how to get to Clever across a variety of computers and operating systems.
Now, Tim, right now, I'm sorry, we just see your frequent issue resolution document.
That's not the right one.
You may have to stop sharing and then reshare.
I apologize. Let me try that again.
There we go. That's the document.
That one's probably more appropriate for this conversation. So it allows teachers to help with sign in. So when they're in school, students often have kind of a more uniform sign in process. If they're signing in from home, there's a lot of variables that may cause weirdness as they sign on. If using a district assigned Chromebook, signing into the Chromebook also signs your student into the Chrome browser, which is key because that's when the Chrome extensions appear on the right side or in the pull down on the side. If you don't have this sheet, you can get it from any page on the CCS website by typing Clever in the search bar. When you type Clever in the search bar, you get a variety of versions of this. Various schools have put it on their own web pages, or it's the link here, signing in CCS learning apps using Clever. There's a dedicated URL for Columbus City Schools, which is this clever.com/in/Columbus City. And it's also the one that is redirected from the extension on the Chrome browser. When a student gets there, they have a reminder that tells them what they need to sign in. Make that a little bigger. When logging in, the student will use their student ID and the Columbus City Schools domain, the @columbus.k12.oh.us. And then their password is their month-day-year password. It's 10 characters long, 2 for the month, a dash, 2 for the day, a dash, and 4 for the year. Students will typically click on this login with Active Directory. Younger students or students with special needs may click on this Clever badge, and I'll talk about that badge component in a moment. If students click on login with Active Directory, they are sent to a Columbus City Schools authentication screen where they will put in their student email address, which is their ID, and the @columbus.k12.oh.us. It says it here on the side to kind of remind them. And then their password is the the 10-digit month, day, year, year. For younger students or students who have been given a badge, that icon redirects them to this Clever Badges screen. If they click login, they'll get a pop-up that will ask to use their device's camera. They will need a QR code that is provided by their teachers initially, but after they get in the first time, they have the ability to generate that QR code on their own. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Once in, the students will see a number of icons and teacher pages. So this is a sample student. My teacher pages are across the top. Each of my classroom teachers would have populated these pages with their own resources or classroom announcements. This might be my math teacher, my English teacher, my science teacher, my health teacher, whatever my courses are. Those teachers have their own pages and a way to interface with those students. The applications that have been purchased for your student will show up on your student's dashboard. Not every student will receive the same icons because different students have different needs. This model student is just that, a model. I've put some software on there across a variety of age ranges. A high schooler, for instance, may not see iReady because it's used in K-8. An elementary school student might not see Launchpad because it's a high school application. So your student's dashboard is tailored to the software that has been purchased and allocated for your student. Over here on the right, where your student's name would be, you can have this little pull down, and there's an icon here that says download badge. That will download a QR code badge with your student's name on it. That badge should be kept safe. It is the same as writing down your student's password on a piece of paper and leaving it out. Anybody with that badge can scan it on the computer and get into your student's learning applications. But it does speed the process when signing into Clever. That student would still need to sign into a Chromebook to get to Clever, but after they get into the Chromebook the first time, they can use the badge to get into to Clever and then access their learning applications. Students, once inside, can favorite applications that they like or use more frequently, and they will appear up at the top, so they're easy to use and separate themselves from the applications that maybe they don't use as often or more district provided ones. There's an icon here for Infinite Campus Student Parent Portal that appears on the student page, and they can favorite it and move it up as well. They also have a Google Classroom and Drive icon. There's also a CCS Zoom icon. This icon just sends people to the general CCS Zoom platform. It does not necessarily provide direct link to a specific Zoom meeting set up by a teacher. So all the icons that the student has selected end up here at the top. So then when a student goes to log on, they just click that icon. The system processes their sign-on and passwords and directs you into the application you need. A student does not need to log in again to each one of the platforms that he or she needs to use throughout the day. It also opens another tab, so a student can operate in a multi-tab way with their Google Classroom open in one tab, Clever in a second tab, and then whatever their current application they need for that class period can be open in that third tab. And then the student can just navigate back and forth between tabs as necessary. Because this is a model student, not a real student, this particular Drive and Classroom don't go to a real account. I can't log into a Google Classroom to show you that. However, Leslie is going to show you that here in just a moment.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Okay, so hello everybody, I'm Leslie Kelly. I'm the Director of Elementary Curriculum, and I'm very excited to be here with all of you today. I know it has been an eventful day, and we really are here to work through all of the hiccups and all of the ups and downs We as a CCS team are very committed to that. So we appreciate the grace and the patience and the flexibility that you all are coming with today. I am going to share with you an actual live, real students account. So let me share my screen. Okay, this is actually a third grader's screen in our district. And can somebody give me a thumbs up? Dr. Klein, can you give me a thumbs up? Can you see Simone's screen? Okay, thank you. I cannot always see what others can see. Okay, so this is a third grade student's actual live Clever. So once they log into Clever, this will pull up. And these are all of Simone's teachers' pages. This is her music teacher's page. And then these are her resources that she might be using. So for elementary, she will use this iReady, which will take her to her math. And then she will use her HMH into reading, which will take her to her reading platform. And Studies Weekly, which will take her to the platform for social studies. However, and I shared those last week, one of the things though that people keep asking about Google Classroom. How do we access Google Classroom? If you scroll down here, you will see it says district links and it says Google Classroom. So I'm going to show you how this works. You just click on that screen and then you choose your account. That's my email. So I would put in Simone's information, her login and her password, which I already did on another screen. But on that screen, that's where you would put that in. You would put in your child's username and then their password. And this is the same username and password for their email. And then you will be taken right into their Google Classroom. So this is Ms. Morgan. She's a third grade teacher at Shady Lane. And you will be taken into her class. Okay. Oh my goodness, this just worked earlier. I'm gonna try one more time. See, this is the grace part. There we go. Okay, so here is what you'll see in a Google Classroom. And then right here, we will meet on Zoom at 11:15 this morning. This is the announcement page. So this is where you want to go. It's gonna give you all kinds of information. And so for here, if I'm not gonna really go to that, but that would have taken me right into that art, and that's for her art class for Miss Morgan. Okay, so that's just one example of what that could look like. And again, that's right here on your Google Classroom. And then here are the resources. And let me just show you elementary families, what that looks like. This is your HMH. Oh, that's because I'm coming in as myself now. Somehow I went back in as me. Well, that should work. I apologize that that's not working. Let's see if the iReady is working or if it's going to take me back in as me. It might be getting confused because I'm going in as myself and as her. Okay, so this is where you will see those two pieces, the iReady and the Ed. iReady is for math, Ed is for the reading, and then Studies Weekly. Let's see if that one's, Okay, I'm gonna work on this, Scott, where you go to somebody else, then I'll come back and show them that because I want to make sure I show them how to get into that.
Great. And real quick, just while both you and Tim were showing how this worked, but just remind everybody, this is for all of our students, not necessarily, you were showing an elementary student, but this is the same for a high school student.
Yes,
they would still log in and see the same thing.
Yep, they'll log in the same way. So when you pull it up, if I'm Leslie Kelly and I am a student at Independence High School, it'll pull up my Clever page, which will have my icons to my platforms that I need. It'll have a link for me for Google Classroom. It'll have my teachers' pages. All these things will be right there on Google, or I mean on Clever for them.
That's perfect. And Tara Baker, you and I were talking earlier, we were talking about Zoom info, and Leslie just showed us one particular place where once you logged into someone's Google Classroom. But Tara, do you mind sharing again just where should families, students look for Zoom info, or tell us how it's different for everybody, right?
Scott, Dr. Baker had to jump off, so I will take that. She did. I'll take that question about Zoom. So your Zoom links are going to, for our teachers, you're going to really want to look for those in those Google Classrooms. And then for some of the students, you may also get them through your student emails. It just really depends on how the teachers are displaying those.
Great. And Tim, I'm going to ask you a question while Leslie's getting her set up. Tim, I see someone in the chat was asking about when their student logged in through Clever, they were seeing like their elementary school as opposed to maybe their middle school, or something hadn't changed. How would that be a case, or what would they need to do to update that information?
Yeah, thank you, Scott. I just saw that as I was scrolling through the chat. It's complicated. So right now, both Q4 and from last school year and Q1, as well as summer school, are all being sent because students still have the option to change Q4 grades until September 15th, 2020. So these students are seeing both enrollments being pushed into the learning applications at this time. The students, when they click on those, even though they're Clever may show last year's teachers, it should also show this year's teachers. And then those learning applications, many of them are accepting both. So a McGraw-Hill icon that a secondary teacher might, or a student might use for their reading, their English class, as well as their math class, once the student logs in, the student will have the ability to choose the correct building and get to their current school year's academic content.
Perfect.
After September 15th, last year's Q4 grading window will close, and then it should just be their Q1 rostering for this school year.
Great. Leslie, do you want to show? And then
yes, let me just show you really quickly. So here's the other piece that I also want to share. That's the technology piece. So don't give up when it doesn't work the first time. It's kind of like you got to take a breath and say, okay, what can I try? So I was logged in, and I was also logged in as myself and as Simone. And so that's why I got confused. But now I'm just logged in as Simone. So elementary families, you will click right here. And this is what it should look like for your child. So this takes here, right here to Simone. And if I go here to Discover, it's going to take her right to her 3rd grade resources. And then if I go back on over here into Clever, and I go on to the iReady, and again, you just click that little icon. I want to choose math. It's going to take me right in here to my iReady. Here's my bookshelf, and here is the digital version of my workbook. So it's really, really that easy. And here's the thing. Don't get frustrated. That's my biggest advice when it comes to technology. Don't let the technology frustrate you. Take a breath. Know that everybody's doing the best that they can. Please feel free to reach out to your principal, to your teachers, to the people on this team, to the help desk. We're all here to support you.
Yes, that's a common theme across all of our departments. We are here to support our families. So thank you so much for sharing. I know we keep getting a lot of questions in there. I know there's been a lot of questions about the Digital Academy. If you're one of the 5,000 students who signed up for the Digital Academy, you've got some questions. We have the director of the new Digital Academy joining us, Pegeen Clary-Potts. If you want to share just some important information, a lot of the questions you got today from our families.
Sure. Thank you for giving us this time. The Digital Academy, one of the great things about it is it does provide flexibility for some students and families that need that flexibility for a variety of reasons. But we also realize, especially after today, that some parents did get into the actual platforms and decided it was just a little bit too much. So what I do want to say about that is we will absolutely help you unenroll from the Digital Academy by sending an email from the parents' email that is the official guardian in Infinite Campus stating my student's name and number, would like to unenroll. and it will be taken care of. If that is something that you're thinking of doing, the sooner the better. So that really needs to be kind of cleaned up so that your student doesn't lose any time out of the classroom, whether it's in the digital academy or remote learning at their normal school. Flexibility, I just want to reiterate the fact that we get a lot of questions about, do I have to sign in at a particular time? Absolutely not. Just like attendance, it's taken, you go in, and yes, there was a small little glitch, but I went on right before this meeting and it is there. That issue has been resolved. Anything from today, give yourself grace and know that we're not going to hold that against anyone. It's all going to be okay. So just pop in there and do the little check mark that you're signed in and you should be good. In the Digital Academy, we're really looking for hours between 7 in the morning to 11:30, but I've had students that were actually signed in the middle of the night last night, and that's great. But those hours that we're really looking at is between 7 in the morning and 11:30 at night. They are free to work 24/7 if they want. I mean, how wonderful is that? So I did want to talk about that. The thing about, I want to go back, if a student unenrolls in the Digital Academy, the only pause I want parents to take is that once they're unenrolled, they don't have that opportunity to get back into that Digital Academy until second semester. So the one case is if we all go back and remote learning is no longer and you go back in the school building, that's that decision. And that's where the angst is coming in. I know a lot of people kind of struggled and it was a brand new experience for people, but we're here to help you. We've answered phones. We have the Digital Academy, CCS Digital Academy at columbus.k12.oh.us. And right now, I was kind of taken away from that. We have about 600 emails, but we're going to get that. I have committed to making sure that we get those answers within 24 hours, but often we're getting them within, an hour or two. Okay, and I think it's nice the district did give you that chance to get out if you don't feel that it's needed. So a lot of the questions were sent to me today, or the things that I talked most about was, how do I get into Ingenuity or Apex? Ingenuity and Apex sent out email to the individual students' Columbus City Schools email accounts. So believe it or not, your students know exactly what that is. But if they don't, you can email me and we'll make sure that they go in and get that. So in that email account, they sent the user passwords and their username. So that's how you sign into Ingenuity and Apex. There is a few things, but again, what is so interesting is I walked through people that process, and in the end, they were like, I'm so embarrassed. You had that exact step-by-step on the district website. But that's why it's there. Sometimes people need to read it, some people need to hear it, and we're here to help. But always, if you're not getting that answer quick enough, go to the Digital Academy's website and you're gonna see videos on how to do it and step-by-step directions. So we are here to help you with that. Workbooks, they are coming. We will be having regional sites for those to be picked up, but that will not be this week, and you will get direct information on how that will happen. Attendance, we did say today that glitched, but don't worry, make sure you check the box tomorrow. And then there was a lot of questions wrapped around the courses. In the courses that were loaded, it says Algebra 1A, Algebra 1B. The A courses are actually for first semester and B is for second semester. So don't get caught up in that. And then somebody said, well, what if we want to do both? Hold on. Course B, we're going to put a little bit of a lockdown on that, and we want you to finish one section before you go on to the other. But the great thing is, it is flexible. So if somebody is going through and gets that done and wants to conquer it, you just send the email and we'll take care of that. Electives for the middle school, somebody asked, hey, I don't see the electives. Bear with us. All core content in the 6th, 7th were loaded. Their actual electives are in the process of being loaded to that course deck. They will be to you by the end of this week. AP classes. If you registered for an AP class, emails will be sent out to the parents to discuss that. And it is coming. So just hold on. Those should be loaded up by next week. And then the schedule. This was a great thing. If somebody has a schedule request, just like any school, that first couple weeks, the counselors are really trying to make those adjustments. But we actually put in a Google course request sheet, and it's on that Digital Academy website as well. So anything that you want done or changed or want to have a question about your schedule, please use your Google request form, and we are looking at those and we will take care of that. And I think, oh, and when I said A and B, there's also X and Y. So again, X would be first semester, Y would be second semester. And all students do have a teacher assigned, but with the luxury of parents being able to drop out, some of those teachers might change so that we make sure that the teachers have equitable numbers so that your students get the best treatment they can. So again, this weekend, you are going to probably be getting some emails from your actual teachers and with their set Zoom or office hours. In the office hours of the Digital Academy, if you don't want to Zoom in or be part of that, you don't have to. We just want the teachers, you to have access for your student or yourself to be able to ask questions at set times. Even if you can't make one of those, you can always email your teacher through the CCS Digital Academy. We have 2 sets. We have people watching in the evening and in the day. So send it to the appropriate email and we'll get you the answer as soon as we can. I didn't mean to take up so much of your time, but I did at least want to tackle some of the questions that we've answered several times today. And I just always want to refer you back. Go to CCS Digital Academy's website. And all of those things that we just talked about, there is step-by-step directions of how you can do that. Thank you for listening. Feel free to email CCS Digital Academy at columbus.k12.oh.us.
Pegeen, thank you. All of the panelists, will probably come back to some of you. So I know you've been getting a lot of questions. So we've got a couple more presentations that we want to get through, and then we're going to go back to a lot of our panelists to just quickly answer some questions. Ms. Gillison, I know you have been watching the chat and been talking to a lot of folks.
Yes, thank you, Scott. Parents, let's pause. This is a lot of information. And what I want you to know is that whenever you're in doubt, you can always email your building principal. That is your first line of defense. When you are confused, when you're having issues, email your building principal. Now, our tech team gave a phone number if you're having technical issues. And if you're having technical issues, you want to dial, do they still call it dialing? You want to call 614-365-8425. And you will get the tech information that you need. I know this is a lot and it's coming at you and you're hearing terms, and some of you may be getting confused between remote learning. That's when your student logs on to their Chromebook or laptop or computer and they actually interface with their teachers and their classmates. That is remote learning. Digital learning is something separate with our Digital Academy. So I just wanted to pause for a minute. If we need to go past 7 o'clock, parents, we're committed to being right here with you. So we're not going anywhere. But a couple of questions that I just wanted, I see over and over in the chat. If you want your child to be in remote learning and you accidentally enroll them in Digital Academy, it is not too late and you can disenroll them. All you have to do is email Central Enrollment at columbus.k12.oh.us. And we're going to put that in the chat. So if you don't want Digital Academy and you want remote learning, we got an answer for you. And we will get you in that classroom where your child belongs. So we're going to slow down because the questions are coming fast and furious. And I know some of you feel like we're not answering. believe me, folks, we have chat warriors in the chat room, and we can't keep up with it. So I just wanted us to take a minute and breathe. And remember, we asked you for grace, and we're going to give your students grace this week. We're going to get through this together. I just kind of wanted to share that. I'm going back in the chat room because I have some work to do. But parents, we're here for you. And if tonight won't be enough, then we'll do it again tomorrow. And then we'll do it again the next day. But we're going to do it together. All right. Thank you, Scott.
Oh, Ms. Gillison, thank you for that reminder. Again, we all need to have a little bit of patience here. I appreciate that our families, our parents are having patience with us because, as you said, the questions are coming fast. You've probably maybe even tried to reach out to your principal. In just a moment, I'm going to ask Scott Nelson, one of our area superintendents, to talk about the best way to connect with your principal. And I'm sure that he will share, just as I am sharing, that you're going to try to call those numbers, you're going to make those emails, and boy, in this digital world, we expect responses, instantaneously, but please, we do ask for that little bit of grace as we're trying to answer a lot of emails. I think you heard one of our presenters share that their inbox was filled with a couple hundred emails that they're going through right now. But everybody in the district is committed to making sure to get you answers as best possible. And that includes our building principals. So I'm going to ask Scott Nelson, one of our area superintendents, to just talk about getting connected with your principal. Scott?
Sure, thanks, Scott. Good evening, everybody. I can certainly understand the frustrations you're experiencing as we've gone to this virtual learning setting. We have experienced those as well. And we care, as everyone else is stating, we care deeply for your children. So your principal is a key person that can help connect you. They know you and they know your kids, or they know of you if you're coming in from 5th to 6th or 8th to 9th. And what they can do is to reassure you, not only to help you get into the virtual setting, but also to help you know that not only is there grace, but we're here to serve you. And when we say that, that means for your kids too. We're not in a traditional setting anymore. We're all trying to figure this out. And having said that, we know that we have to give more time for us as we get up and running here. So again, as Mr. Varner has stated, Ms. Gillison and others, the building principal or the assistant principal can be a key person for helping you to connect and get your students engaged with their teachers.
Thank you very much for sharing that. And again, as you'll recall, the best way to find that is either go to your school's website, and on most of the school's individual websites, they have a way for you to connect with the principal and many of the staff at that building. There's also a way to find your teachers, your teacher and your principal's emails through Infinite Campus, through that parent portal. And again, we're going to go back and ask our panelists just to quickly answer some of the questions that they've been getting. There are two more pieces that we want to make sure you're aware of tonight because you've heard a lot of conversation about them. The first is our Fuel Up food sites, and then we'll quickly talk about learning extension centers. So let me remind families about our Fuel Up food sites. As you know, starting tomorrow and on Wednesdays only, families will have the opportunity to pick up a 5-day pack of food. That's 5 breakfasts, 5 lunches packed together for each child in your house, 18 years and under. This is a great opportunity to make sure your young person has access to healthy meals during this time when we wish that we could have lunch together, but know that we can't. So if you look on your screen, I want to share a map so you can kind of see where those sites are, but you should have received information in your email or maybe an auto dial that shared the site that you've been assigned. It should be the site closest to your home address, or at least the home address that's listed in Infinite Campus in that parent portal. You should have received that information. So tomorrow, Wednesday, and every Wednesday, Wednesdays only, you can go to one of those 44 sites either at lunchtime between 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. or in the evening between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. again to pick up that 5-day meal pack, 5 lunches, 5 breakfasts for each young person. And those are going to be what we call shelf stable, those items that don't necessarily need refrigeration right away and will last those 5 days until you're able to eat and consume them. Now, parents will have the option to also pick up 5 days of milk if you want that. But remember, that takes refrigeration. So if you decide to get the milk, make sure you get that home and in the refrigerator right away. Again, this is on Wednesdays only, starting tomorrow. You should have been assigned your spot, but make sure you go to the place that is closest to you. And this information is on our website. Remember that place on our website that I shared, that ccsoh.us, and you click on that reopening tab that's at the top and you'll see this map. We wanted to make sure that all of our children are fed, have access to healthy meals. And again, this is a special note. This is open to all young people in the city of Columbus, thanks to a special arrangement with our partners at the Ohio Department of Education and the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We are able to offer this to all families. So I don't know why there would be families that aren't enrolled in Columbus City Schools, but if you know a family with a young person who would like access to the food and maybe not enrolled with us, first off, convince them to enroll in our district, but then number 2, let them know about these food sites as well, because no child in Columbus should go without access to healthy meals. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to ask Ms. Gillison to just take a brief moment to share about Learning Extension Centers and who you can contact to find out about the Learning Extension Centers in your neighborhood. Ms. Gillison?
Thank you, Mr. Varner. Before I go to that, there seems to be a question that keeps reoccurring, and then I saw it with all capital letters. So I'd like for someone on our panel to address, was there a service issue today with Edgenuity, and has that service situation been corrected? Can
So,
someone
Ms. Gillison, I did answer that. Ingenuity did go down, but it was within the time I put the email out to Ingenuity, it was back up. So if ever it does go out, email CCS Digital Academy and I get on, but immediately it was put back up.
Thank you, Peggy. And maybe our listener did not hear that information because there's so much going on right now. I'll take a quick moment to share information about our Learning Extension Centers. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 160 Learning Extension Centers for Columbus City School students. And these are centers with internet access, safe, quiet, educationally conducive place for students to be able to log in and learn in these spaces. Now, if you want to know where these spaces are, if you want to know the hours of these spaces and what days of the week we're running or we're supporting the Learning Extension Centers, all you have to do is reach out to your building principal. And I can't drive that home enough. We have amazing building administrators and they are standing ready to help support you. If you're interested in a Learning Extension Center, if your Wi-Fi in your house is a little shaky because you have more than 2 students on the internet at the same time, you may want to look into the Learning Extension Centers, but they will not really open up until September the 14th. But your building principal can give you the contact information and the address, and you can call these Learning Extension Centers yourself and set up appointments for your students.
Thank you for sharing that. Again, the best resource of information is your child's principal. They have such great information specific to your neighborhood and making sure that it's for your student. So, all right, panelists, you've seen a lot of the questions coming through the chat. some repeat ones. I'm going to go back to all of you and just quickly ask you to share some quick answers again, repeat some of what you shared earlier, just to make sure that those families who joined us late, who maybe didn't hear it the first time, who maybe still just are a little bit, just unsure, quickly share with those. So I'm going to start with our awesome technology team, Ms. Vierny, Mr. Campbell. Real quick, what are some of the things you want to make sure families take away?
Quick highlights: Chromebooks, if you don't have them, please contact the building principal. Hotspots, if you need them, please contact the building principal. We are out of them currently. We have ordered them. We expect them within a week. We'll ship it to the buildings as soon as it's shipped to us. Chromebook repairs, technical questions, contact 614-365-8425. If nothing, remember these 3 top things, and we are here to help you.
Yeah, and I'll add, Scott, that just looking through the chat, one thing I want to make sure that parents know to do is have your students log into these Chromebooks. Do not use the guest login, because you will not get access to these things that Tim and others have mentioned, and that is where they'll have access to the bookmarks and other things that they've used. So make sure that they're logging in. If your student isn't able to log in, have them contact 614-365-8425 so that we can make sure that for some reason their account wasn't disabled. Sometimes they appear on a list and it just, Google will disable them for random reasons. We just want to make sure that if they're having login issues, it may very well just have been disabled by Google for a safety feature. So we can re-enable that quickly and get them back in back in learning. So that was another question that came up. And then I saw the question come up several times about the not saving all their data. And again, I'll just bring up that we do that so that the Chromebooks don't get viruses that are saved in them, as well as it will clear out any backlog of stuff that might cause them to slow down, and it'll give them a much better experience in the long run. So those were questions I saw floating around in the chat, Scott, that I just wanted to bring forward.
Great, thank you, team. And as your team is always reminding me, make sure you plug in that laptop each night. If you're not going to be plugged in the whole time, make sure you plug it in overnight to charge, because there's nothing worse than being in the middle of something and that Chromebook going dead. Thank you so much to our technology team. Let me turn to our accountability team and the parent portal, the login information. Dr. Klein, you and Mr. Vance, what are you seeing as the major questions? What are the takeaways tonight?
Thank you, Mr. Varner. The first one and most important is, if you need parent portal access, please make sure to email parentportalaccess@columbus.k12.oh.us. Please provide us a copy of your photo ID, the names of your children, and their date of birth. And we'll get right back to you as soon as possible with information so that you can log into your parent portal and start accessing everything tonight. Please make sure you use a photo ID so that we can make sure that we are giving the information only to who needs it. We want to make sure we have top security with regard to parent portal. And the second thing is, if in fact you decide that CCS Digital Academy is not the best option for your child, please make sure to email centralenrollment@columbus.k12.oh.us, and we will get that taken care of and enroll them into their secondary enrollment and enroll them into their primary school so that they can get a schedule as early as possible. So depending on the number we have tonight, Mr. Varner, we'll try to get everyone done that we possibly can. Jason, anything for attendance?
Yes, so just a few questions coming in about how to take attendance for those just joining us or who need a repeat. So in the portal, you need to click on the Today link on the left side, click on Check-ins, and then click on each course to mark your student present for the day. Now, there were some questions about what time that you need to check in your students. It doesn't have to necessarily align with when the classes are normally taught. If your students were at the school building, you can check them in at any time between 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. So if parents are helping their students check in, and they can't get to it until after they get home from work, that is perfectly fine. Just as long as you do it before 11 p.m. because it resets for the next day. Another question I got was, is it normal for the check-in button to disappear once you have checked your students in? That is absolutely correct. That is the way it's designed to work. So once that button is gone, that means all of your check-ins are complete for the day. There was an issue this morning. Some of you had mentioned that you weren't able to check your students in the very first thing this morning. That was an issue that we found out very quickly and resolved within about 30 minutes. So you should not see that issue again tomorrow or going forward. It was just a little glitch we took care of, but everything else seemed to work fine throughout the rest of the day. Those were the biggest questions I got, Scott.
Thank you. Again, I know that your team has been busy answering all of those emails too. And again, families, just we're all going to have a little bit of extra patience this week and grace as we try to get through all the questions that everybody has. I want to go back to Leslie Kelly and Tim Wangler real quick. Again, as you're looking through the chat, what are some of the takeaways you want to make sure our families and parents have tonight when it comes to logging into things like Clever and Google Classroom and finding that Zoom link?
When you are logging in, you're using your students' login information, a couple things to make sure you're paying attention to. So for example, if your child's birthday is March 16th, 2005, you want to make sure it's 03-16-2005 without additional spaces, and make sure you're putting that 0 in front of the 3. The same thing when you're putting their email in, make sure that you're using their student ID and then their email and the @Columbus. Make sure you're not having additional spaces, because all of those things can cause the email or the password not to work. And then just give yourself patience, and sometimes you might need to log off and log back in, and that's okay. You know, and make sure you reach out. If you're ever having an issue, the best thing that you can do is reach out immediately through email to your teacher, to your child's teacher, or even then to the principal. But the child's teacher is going to probably be the best person that can help you in an immediate response. And one of the things that, Scott, I do want to share really quickly. Today I had the pleasure of actually joining an MD class in one of our elementary schools. And I will tell you, it was probably the best part of my day. The kids were so excited to be on. They were engaged with their teacher. They were really enjoying, and these kids were navigating Google Classroom. They were navigating Google Docs. They were in Zoom, and it will work, and we will make sure everybody gets there. So I just wanted to share that, because this is a group of students that has some pretty significant special needs, and between the teacher and the kids working together, it was a really engaging moment and great learning there. So please, again, I can just say, continue to reach out. We are working, and we will get you there as quick as possible.
Thank you. And I think you reminded us of what's most important, is that our young people were excited to get back to school today. We had so many that logged on quickly, wanted to see the rest of their classmates, whether it be virtually, you know, through that Zoom, but also to see their teachers again. So you're right. So many of our students are excited to get back. I'm going to go one last time to Mr. Nelson. Just as you were seeing in the chat, again, if you just want to remind us the best way to find a principal and how to stay in touch with them.
Sure. You can get in touch with your principal. You can call the school. You can go to the website, principals, assistant principals. As was stated earlier, the most significant thing I can tell you now is going to your principals or to your school buildings initially may help you solve the challenge or issue you're dealing with a little bit more quickly. So I would suggest doing that, and they are more than willing to help and will help walk you through that and or contact people on your behalf as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to do one quick reminder about the Fuel Up food sites. Again, this is your opportunity to make sure that your young person has access to healthy meals while we're in this digital learning environment, this virtual learning. The best thing to do is you should have received information last week, and maybe even a call tonight, a reminder about where your nearest site is, where you've been assigned based upon your address, not where your student attends, but based upon your home address, the closest site to you, where tomorrow And on Wednesdays only, you'll be able to pick up a 5-day meal pack for each young person in your house. And you can go at lunch between 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. or in the evening from 5 to 7 p.m. We want to make sure that every child has access to healthy meals during this virtual learning environment and experience that we're all going through. I know there continues to be a few different questions come in, and in just a moment, I appreciate your time, families, for sticking with us, and for our panelists for taking some additional time. But before we close out, Ms. Gillison, I want to go back to you just to share some closing thoughts. And then a reminder for families, our panelists are going to be on here just a little bit longer answering questions in the chat. But as always, if you have questions, email someone in the district and we're here to help you. Ms. Gillison, some final thoughts?
All right, thank you. One of the first final thoughts is I want to thank all of the families for joining us tonight. And I share the sentiments of the team that's on here tonight. Actually, parents, today was a good day for most of our students. It really, really was. But for you, there were some glitches, and we're here to help work through those glitches. So your takeaways, number one, if there are issues at the school trying to get into the classroom, email the building principal or the assistant principal. That is your first line of defense. If you're having technical issues, you want to call 614-365-8425. So you know who to call when you're having an issue getting into a classroom or something of that nature. You know who to call when you're having a technical issue. And when you're having log-on information, you can still go to your building administrator or administrators. They're there to help you. And as Mr. Nelson said, we're here to serve you. That's why we're here. We want to make this a wonderful experience for all 50,000 of our young people. If your schedule is not clear, who do you call? You email your teacher or your building principal. And also, if you can't get in the parent portal, Dr. Klein, who do they call?
It's very easy, Mrs. Gillison. If you can't get into parent portal, you just email 24 hours a day, parent portal access at columbus.k12.oh.us. Please include your picture ID, the name of your children, and their date of birth. That way, they can email you immediately back your passcode. We don't want you to have to wait. We want to make sure we facilitate that. So please send that picture ID, name of students, and date of birth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. And ladies and gentlemen, there were a plethora of questions about the Digital Academy. If you have a question about the Digital Academy and you went to that email and you haven't gotten the response that you need, Peggy Cleary, what should they do?
Hi, please, I'm reading your emails, and what you can do is I put my email, pcleary9052@columbus.k12.oh.us. You can also reach out, and I will make sure those questions get answered. If you want out of the Digital Academy, I'll help you get through that. And if you had Ingenuity issues, I'm on the phone right now with Ingenuity. We weren't aware of only the one, but if ever that happens, please email so that we can stay on top of that. And we'll help you through those things. So don't give up, give yourself, this is a lot of work for you as parents, and we're here to help you. So please email me your questions and or your concerns.
Thank you, Peggy. I just want parents to know that we're here to support you. Just like this is a new journey for us, we know this is a new journey for you. And that's why we're here, and we will continue to walk alongside you. You have access. If you need to email anyone from the district, we'll get you to the right person. If you can't get in touch with the building administrators and the teachers, we'll get you where you need to be. So please Hang in there with us, and I promise you, tomorrow is going to be better than today, and the day after that is going to be even better. Once we get through this initial week, I'm telling you, it's going to be smooth sailing, and we're sailing together. So thank you so much for joining us this evening. Feel free to email. Peggy, put your information in once again. And I see the central enrollment information. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough. Our panelists, you guys are amazing. And we're going to keep working together, and we're going to keep supporting each and every one of you. Thank you.
Dr. Klein, I know that you had one more point that you wanted to share with our families.
I did. So I've got a couple more questions about unenrolling or opting out of the CCS Digital Academy. Please remember, all you have to do, you can do it right now. Email centralenrollment@columbus.k12.oh.us. Give us your child's name and the date of birth, and we'll take care of that so that your primary school of attendance can know first thing in the morning and you can be assigned classes. Thank you so much, Scott, and I appreciate being part of this meeting.
Again, thank you to all of our families. I know we typically, these virtual engagement sessions are about an hour. We wanted to make sure this one was a little longer because we know you had a lot of questions. So I'm going to ask our panelists to stay for maybe just a couple more minutes and answer questions in the chat. We'll probably turn our cameras off while we're answering all those questions. And with that, I'm just going to say thank you again. Thank you to all of our families for joining us in this, what is a historic school year with so much going on. I know that we've added to what you need to do in your household to make sure your young people are successful. But as you heard Ms. Gillison say, we got your back. We're here to make sure that you feel supported and engaged, that you are successful, because that's how we make sure our students are successful. So with that, I'm going to say goodnight, ask our panelists to hang on for just a couple minutes and answer some questions in the chat. And again, thank you, everybody. Have a great night.